We're going to do some paper chromatography today. The materials that we need are clear cups. You could use clear plastic cups or jars, coffee filters, a ruler, scissors, water, food coloring, nail polish remover, which you really want to be as much acetone as possible, some Scotch tape, water-based markers, toothpicks, and a clock. So here I have things set up. If we can get things to focus a little better. I have a glass and some canning jars. There are my water or my food coloring. Here are some other jars that I have. I have some markers. Here's my acetone or nail polish remover. I've already pre-cut my coffee filter into strips. I have my toothpicks, as I've been playing with this, a ruler. I have my phone, as I'm going to use as a stopwatch. There's my tape, my coffee filter, scissors, and my pen. We're going to get things started here. So I'm going to put the camera down and start getting things set up. I'm going to show you how to use your coffee filter. So I'm going to take my coffee filter, and all I'm doing is folding it in half. So I've folded it in half. And now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut over about 1 centimeter or less along my fold. It doesn't have to be exact, so I just, on my other ones that I already did, I eyeballed it and just cut a narrow strip of everything. Here is the piece that I just cut. I have a flat edge on the top. I have a flat edge on the bottom, which is what I'm trying to get. So I have a long strip of my coffee filter. Next, in order to do multiples, I have my rest of my coffee filter. I need a flat edge. So I'm just going to take this and cut across to give me a flat edge. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. And I might have to do this several times, depending on how many different markers and or food colorings you use. So now that I have flat edges, I can do the same thing, and I'll just cut strips. And again, they're anywhere from about 1.5 centimeters to about 2 centimeters. They're nothing to be exact about them, just cutting strips. And now I have another strip cut. And I have lots of coffee filter pieces here to be able to use, depending on, again, how many different setups you're going to do. So again, I already pre-cut a bunch of strips that I will be able to use. There are my pre-cut strips. Notice that they are different lengths. That's not a big deal. What I want to do now is get my jars or my glasses ready and put the respectable solvent in each jar or glass. So with my food coloring that I have here, I've already poured some water in my jars. So I don't have very much water. As you can see, there's not very much water in there. I have about 1 centimeter of water in the bottom of my jar. And on my markers over here, which are my smaller jars, I have acetone in one of them. So again, I don't have a whole lot of acetone in here, just enough at the bottom. I'm probably gonna have to put a little bit more in. Again, I want maybe 1 centimeter. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour some acetone or nail polish remover in my other jars, just a small amount. Cover the bottom a little bit. I now have acetone in the 3 little jars that have my marker sitting in front of them. I have water in my bigger jars and the glass, and that has food coloring. So now we're going to get our strips of coffee filter ready. This is where I'm going to use my ruler. Have my ruler set next to my strip. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go up about 1 inch, 1.5 inches from the bottom of my coffee filter. Go up about 1 inch, 1.5 inches. I think I like 1.25 inches better. And at this point, I'm going to add either my food coloring or my markers, and each strip is its own color. So using my food coloring, I have purple food coloring here. And I'm going to repeat this with each individual. This is where I am going to use my toothpick, and you can see that I've already been playing with my toothpicks. They have colors on the ends of them. This is where you need help from mom or dad, grandma, grandpa, an older sibling. And what I want to do is I want to get a drop of purple food coloring right on the very edge. And then I'm going to come over here and up about 1.25 inches. I'm going to put my food coloring on here and keep dabbing until I have a line going all the way across. I'm going to move my ruler out of the way so I have a little more room to work. I really would like to have a nice straight line, if possible. And I'd like my line of food coloring to be totally filled in. I have my purple done. Remember, this is food coloring, so this might stain your clothes. So this is where you need some help. I'm getting it on my counter, but I can clean it off. So my purple is done. I'm going to put the purple in front of the jar that I'm going to put it in. Purple will go in the purple jar. I'm going to do the same thing now again with my green. I'm going to put the purple off to the side. I'm going to do the same again with the green. I want to get a drop on the edge. I'm going to look so that I have about 1.5 inches. It doesn't have to be exact. About right there is where I want to go. I have my green done. I'm gonna push it over to the side so it can be ready to go. This also allows these a chance to dry. I want them to dry. I'm gonna grab another one. This time, what I did is I took a brown M&M, and with my brown M&M, I put in just a small amount of water. I know that's really difficult to see, but I put in just a very, very tiny amount of water. You can see I stuck my brown M&M in there. I pulled my brown M&M out. This is what's left of my brown M&M. I lost some coloring. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the brown from my M&M. Move my purple over, my green over. Let me use those two as a reference. This was done yesterday, so it's dried a little bit. Probably will help me. If you don't have color go all the way across, that's not a big deal. You just want to have enough so that you can see separation. Because chromatography is just separating a mixture based upon weights. So now I have my purple, my green, and my brown. I'm going to let them sit there and dry yet. And I'm going to do the same thing with my markers. The markers that I chose are a marker that's not quite red. It is more of a maroon color marker. It does have a red cap, but it's just a maroon color marker for one. I have a black marker for two, and then I have a gray marker for the third one. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come over about an inch and a quarter, and I want to make my lines going across them and do the exact same thing. So as you can see, this is kind of a maroon color. Markers are a little bit easier to do. Again, I'm leaving some residue behind on my kitchen counter. I'm going to put that in front of there. I'm going to do the same thing with my black. I can get a little bit better lines, nice smooth lines. I now have my black done. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my gray. And I think I'm going to use the thinner. I have my coffee filter set up, ready to go. I have my brown first, then I have my purple, and then I have my green. Those three are going to go in water. Again, that is my food coloring, and then the brown that came off of my M&M. I have my next three strips ready to go. I have my maroon, my black, my gray, and I have them going in some acetone over here. And I stuck the markers in front of each so I knew which way that I am going to put my strips because I want them in the respectable containers. The next step is where I'm going to use my tape. And what I need to do is grab my marker, and I find that it's easier if I put the marker with the color that I have. And I'm going to wrap my coffee filter around my marker. What I want to have finally set up is to have my coffee filter just the very bottom, located in just touching my solvent, just a little bit. So I'm going to have to roll this around my marker so that my marker can sit on top of here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this around, and then I'm going to get a little tiny piece of tape. Just going to kind of roll. And as I roll, I'm going to keep putting this up next to my jar to make sure that when it sits on top of there, it is just inside my liquid. So I just kind of keep playing. It looks like right there might work. I'm going to grab a little tiny piece of tape. I don't need a whole lot. I have just a small piece of tape, and I'm just going to tape it on there so it will stick. So now when I'm all said and done, I can stick it inside here and let the solvent pull up by capillary action onto my coffee filter. At this point, I'm going to get all the rest of these set up, and then we will put them inside each of the jar respectfully. And then we will set our stopwatch. I went ahead and wrapped all of my coffee filters around a marker or a pencil so that I have some way to hold it up. Now at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each one of these and just stick it in the solvent and let it sit here. I might have to rotate things a little bit. Want to make sure that I have my colors in front of each so that I know what I am doing. Pull this across a little bit. There's my green. The green's not quite in there. Might have to adjust it a little bit. My green's in there. My red's in there. Black. And my gray. So everybody's in here. Now this is where I need my stopwatch. And I'm gonna come to my stopwatch. You can use a clock, that's fine. And I'm gonna put my stopwatch on and let it start. And I'm gonna let this sit for a half hour. We'll come back and check it in a half hour, and then we'll come back and check it after 45 minutes. We are 4 minutes in already, and what I want you to see is our purple food coloring has already started to separate into different colors. So you can already see pink that is down on the bottom and blue that is still working its way up. The top of the blue is where our water line is. That's as far up as it has separated. We look at our green over here. Don't want to disturb it too much. Don't want to disturb it at all. But you can start to see with the green that we are getting yellow on the bottom. If you look really closely, we are getting some yellow. All right, so we'll continue to let these separate and come back and check on them periodically. We are 21 minutes into our experiment here. Put my stopwatch down. And as you can see on our green here, we have started to separate some colors. We have yellow on the bottom. And if we are lucky, if you can see, there is some blue on the top as this continues to separate. Come over and look at our purple. With our purple, we can definitely see the pink has totally separated from the blue. So if you know your colors, you know that if you put red and blue together, you get a purple. But in this purple food coloring, we have a pink and we have a blue. Those look really good. I'm gonna come over here. See what we can do with our black and our gray. Bring our jars a little bit closer. Really don't want to try to disturb them too much. Here is my gray. And if we can see closely, there is some yellow separating up on the top. I'm going to slide that on back. And here's my black. Again, I'm trying not to disturb it. If we're looking at the black, we can see that the black here contains some blue. It might have some gray. It has some yellow in it. So we have a variety of colors in our black, and we are only about 25 minutes into our separation. Let's take a look at our red here, or this maroon. We'll slide that one on back. Remember that these markers are in acetone. Trying to be ginger with them. I'll pull this up out of my solvent a little bit so that we can look at things, and I'll put it back in. If we look closely, we can see a little bit of purple or bluish towards the top of that and kind of a pink in there. We'll let that sit back in there and continue as we let our timer go. My brown hasn't done anything here. I'm not thrilled with my brown. This was an experiment to see if I could get the brown to come off my food coloring, off of my M&M. And I am not getting the brown to do any real separation. This is where you get to play with different color markers, different color food colorings, and see what that food coloring really is composed of. Like my purple is really composed of a pink and a blue. My green really is composed of a yellow and a blue, and a different shade of blue than my purple is. So we're going to continue to let these separate. We'll come back and check on them in about another 10 minutes, which will give us 36 minutes into our experiment. We are 34 minutes into our separation. So we're going to take a look at things here. And I'm just going to stop my stopwatch. As I can see here, my brown didn't do any separation. We learn more when things don't work than when things do work. So I can see here that my brown did not separate at all. In fact, my water didn't go up any further than the brown that is in there. So we're gonna just put that one off to the side. We're gonna look at our purple. Here's my purple. Notice the pink on the bottom and the blue on the top. Where the blue is, the top of the blue is where my water line is. The pink is down on the bottom and the blue on the top, all because of the mass of the color. So just like you have a mass when you go and you step on a bathroom scale or you go to the doctor and the doctor gets your mass, you have a mass. Well, the colorings also have a mass. And the heavier they are, the further down on my coffee filter they will be. So what this tells me is that my pink, the mass of my pink color is heavier than the mass of my blue color here. So that's what that is telling me, is that they have a mass and the pink is heavier than the blue. And my purple food coloring contains a pink and a blue. I'm going to look at my green next. Move over to the green that we did. This was our green food coloring. If we let this go, we could get some more separation, but we're going to stop right here. You can see that green is composed of some yellow, and at the very top of this, there really is some blue. And you might be able to see some blue right here. When I did this yesterday, I really got yellow and blue, but the blue is going to be way up here because it is much lighter than the yellow in color. So we're going to call that one done. We'll move over, those were in water. We're going to move over to the ones that we did in our acetone. Here's my maroon that I did. If we look closely, we can see some pink. We see a different shade of red towards the top. And again, if we let this go further, we would finally see a blue in there. There's my maroon marker, my black. This one's really cool. Here is my black marker. With my black marker, you should be able to see lots of different colors in here. We're having a hard time focusing because we have too much going on. You can see some blue over here. You can see some yellows or browns over here. You can see a little bit of green up there. So black is composed of lots of different colors. And then our gray. Here's our gray. The gray has almost like a purple in it. And at the very top we have a hint of yellow in there. So again, all of these are separated based upon what colors compose the color of my marker or the color of my food coloring. And then the weight or the mass of the colors, the heavier the mass, the further down they are on my coffee filter. The lighter they are, the higher up they are. And if we continue to let these go for a while, we would see some more separation in our black, in our gray, and in our green. But for now, we're going to call it good for today. What I would like you to do, is to experiment with this. If you try different color blacks, different color black markers have different colors in when they separate here. So try different colors. Try different color food colorings. Again, I only have a few different food colorings. So experiment with what you have. Make sure you have some help as you do this, especially when you're working with some acetone. You don't need a whole lot, or when you're working with your food coloring, because again, this will stain your clothes. This is called paper chromatography. And again, things separate based upon the mass or how much they weigh, and we separate them with a solvent. Enjoy your experimentation. Have fun. Let the library know some of your results. Good luck.